May the words of my mouth and the reflections of our hearts be pleasing in your sight. Amen. Please. So, preceding today's Gospels reading, Jesus asked his disciples, "Who do you say I am?" Peter proclaims him as the Messiah, the Son of the living God. Jesus then responds in affirmation and great praise for Peter and says, "I will give you the keys to the kingdom." Well, that sounds pretty clear to me. Jesus is saying, I'm the one, right? But what we need to recognize here is that the disciples don't have the same understanding and perspective that we have through the Bible. Their perspective to truly understand what that means. What does it mean that Jesus is the king to the kingdom for their beloved teacher or for themselves? It is from that moment on that Jesus begins to prepare his disciples for what is to come. The Transfiguration is our invitation into that preparation where Jesus gives his disciples a base or a perspective from which to consider what they will witness through the crucifixion and the resurrection. Jesus takes his three disciples that have been with him the longest, Peter, James, and John, up the mountain, and they begin to pray. Jesus is transfigured right in front of him. His face shines. His clothes become dazzling white. And then Moses and Elijah appear. Imagine experiencing this vision. Jesus is shining and glowing. He's with Moses and Elijah, who are easily recognized by the disciples, and it is known that they have accomplished great works in God's name. They are considered amongst the greatest of prophets. This had to be a very, very beautiful and powerful sight. As my kids would say, it was great and powerful in its awesomeness. Peter reacts, right? And he says, it's good that they are there. And then he suggests that they will build these dwellings for all three of them. And when I read this, I think of Peter overcome with excitement and thinking, wow, this is it. Now we will build the kingdom. And I think I would react exactly the same way. I would never, ever want a moment like that to end. Peter reacts as I think most of us would. He sees this amazing vision, and his effort to make it real to him, he tries to do something, right? To control it and to preserve it. But the cloud comes in, and God interrupts. This is my Son, the beloved. With him I am well pleased. Listen to him. Somewhat like, whoa, not so fast. Listen, follow my Son. That is the path to my kingdom. We can certainly understand the desire of Peter to hold on to that glorious moment and his passion, just as we want to hold on to those happy moments in our lives and all that we cherish, along with all the people we love so dearly. But God's desire for us is to keep moving forward and follow Jesus out into that world. And the world at many times can be frightening, scary, and uncertain. In this passage, we are all invited to follow Jesus. And that requires us to keep moving forward along the path that he has created for us, no matter how afraid we might be or how dark the future may seem, and no matter how crazy the world becomes. But here is the most awesome part of all, and the part that I find most comforting and that gives me strength. Notice in this passage, Jesus goes to them and says, "Do not be afraid," and comforts him, right? No matter what they do or how much the disciples just don't get it, Jesus is always with them, comforting and guiding them. In following Jesus, we are all invited into an ongoing transformation in him and with him. I will close by sharing some words I came across on the Transfiguration from Deacon Keith Farner. I found these words to be clarifying and inspirational. On the mountain, Jesus revealed before mortal eyes the transcendent truth of who he is and who Peter, James, and John, and each one of us will become in him. They were invited to exercise their freedom and embrace the path that Jesus had prepared. And so, my friends, are we today, right now, right here. Amen.